In this video, we're gonna get an overview of AWS Glue and understand where it actually fits in the data world. The goal is that by the end of this video, when you see Glue mentioned in a diagram, you immediately know what problem it solves, how it works at a high level, and when you should think about using it for analytics and machine learning scenarios. Okay, AWS Glue is a serverless data integration and preparation service. Serverless here means you don't worry about managing servers, patching, or scaling. AWS takes care of all of that behind the scenes. Glue mainly helps you with ETL, extract, transform, and load, which basically means get data from somewhere, clean or reshape it, and then put it somewhere else, so it's ready for analytics and machine learning. From a big picture perspective, Glue gives you a managed way to discover data, organize metadata, transform datasets at scale, and make them available to downstream tools without you having to stitch together custom infrastructure. For example, imagine you have data scattered across different places, maybe some logs in S3, some transactional logs in RDS or DynamoDB, and maybe more data sitting in Redshift, or even streaming into Kinesis. Glue helps you discover where your data is and what it looks like, organize this information into a central data catalog, transform the data, for example, clean, filter, or join them, and load it into destinations like S3, Redshift, RDS, or make it queryable with services like Athena. In other words, instead of manually writing and orchestrating a bunch of scripts and gluing things together yourself, AWS Glue provides a managed, scalable way of doing it end-to-end, so your raw data can quickly become analytics ready. Alright, as we mentioned data catalog, let's talk about it for a second, as it's one of the most important components of Glue. Think of the Glue data catalog as a central directory of your data, a place where Glue stores metadata, which is data about your data. For example, for a table in S3, metadata might include the table name, which S3 bucket and path the files are in, the columns and their types, the file format like CSV, JSON, or Parquet, and other similar information. This catalog acts as a unified metadata layer that multiple AWS analytics services can rely on, so they all share a consistent understanding of your dataset. Now, how does Glue build this catalog? That's where crawlers come in. A Glue crawler is a component that can scan your data sources, meaning that look at the file or tables, infer the schema, and then automatically create or update tables in the data catalog. For example, imagine you have daily CSV files dropping into an S3 folder. You can configure a Glue crawler to periodically scan that folder, detect new columns and partitions, and keep your catalog up to date. After that, services like Athena, Redshift Spectrum, or Glue ETL jobs can use this catalog to understand how to read your data. This automated schema discovery is especially useful in environments where data structures evolve over time or where manually tracking all dataset would be error-prone. Now let's talk about the ETL part of the Glue. Once your data is cataloged, Glue can run ETL jobs to extract data from sources like S3, DynamoDB, RDS, Redshift, or Kinesis streams, transform the data by applying operations such as cleaning invalid records, removing duplicates, converting formats, for example, from CSV to Parquet, joining multiple datasets together, or enriching the data with additional fields. Then it can load the transformed data into a target like S3, Redshift, RDS, or make it ready for query tools and analytics. So you don't have to manage any servers running these jobs. Glue spins up the required compute, runs your job, and then shuts it down. Now let's bring all the common Glue use cases together so you can remember exactly when to think of AWS Glue. First and foremost, Glue is great for building a centralized data catalog. Next, Glue is often used for preparing data for a data warehouse. For example, you might have semi-structured logs in S3 that needs to be cleaned, normalized, and converted into a columnar format, and then loaded into Redshift for BI dashboards while keeping your raw data in S3. Glue also excels in preparing data for machine learning. It can join raw events in S3 with user attributes in DynamoDB, remove duplicates or bad records, and output a clean, ready-to-train dataset, giving your data science team a scalable, a repeatable pipeline as your data and features grow. Okay, let's wrap up this video by summarizing the key takeaways that you should remember about AWS Glue. First of all, remember that AWS Glue is a serverless data integration and ETL service that crawls and discovers your data, builds and maintains a centralized data catalog containing metadata like schema and format, runs ETL jobs to extract data from multiple sources, transform it, and load it into targets like S3, RDS, Redshift, or Athena. All these processes make the data ready for better analytics and machine learning processes. In practice, you use Glue when you need a managed, scalable way to discover datasets, keep schemas organized, and prepare data for dashboards, data warehouses, and machine learning workloads. Okay, that's a wrap for this video, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you're subscribed to our channel, and I'll see you in the next video.